Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review, part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along once again. I am Amanda, your host of this SmackDown review. And apologies, guys, I've been off air for a couple of weeks due to some technical Wi-Fi issues, which hopefully now are sorted once and for all, fingers crossed, and normal service can be resumed. I hate being unreliable. It's a real bugbear of mine, so let's hope that everything is now sorted. Let's get straight to it and review the SmackDown that aired 22nd of May from Kentucky. And Joe Test kicks off by reminding us of the current beef between Cody and Gunther. We get a reminder of what happened last week between Gunther and Royce Keys. We get our arrivals, and first off we've got Cody ahead of his European road trip, which is music to my ears. And we get Shinsuke arriving tonight. He is going to face Tama Tonga. And we've got Tiffy. And praise Jesus, she has started a Women's US Open Challenge. That is brilliant news and something that I've been screaming for months. And we start off the action tonight. We've got Rhea making her way to the ring. And a quick reminder, by means of a BT package, that we've got the return of Jade Cargill and her B-card army, to which I say yawn in capitals. Rhea welcomes everyone to Friday Night Mummy and says she had 1 week off and it seemed like someone really missed her. She says that Jade and her crew decided to try and send a message, but all they managed to do is piss her off. Now she's back and she is itching for a fight. She says if Jade wants her rematch, she will happily beat her again and offers her a title shot at Clash in Italy. That brings out Flair and Bliss, who are Rhea's tag partners on Saturday night's main event. Flair says she appreciates her wanting to defend, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have a tag match with Jade and her B-card army first. Flair says she needs to address the elephant in the room and asks where Rhea was last week when they needed her. Rhea apologises, says she went home to see her family. Flair says that her and Bliss have got their own battles to fight, but for now, they need her help to deal with Rhea's problem. Bliss here is a bit like Piggy in the middle, asking them to chill out, but Rhea takes offence to what Flair said, and then she says from where she was watching it looked like Bliss took most of the beating, and she says that if Flair can't even help her alleged best friend, how on earth can Rhea trust her? Again, Bliss chips in and tries to chill things out, but Flair says that she's on to Rhea. She sees she's trying to drive a wedge between her and Bliss, and at that we get out Fatal Influence. JCJ says, "This is great, please keep it going." She says she loves watching the SmackDown Women's Division unravel before her eyes. She says it's funny, it looks like this all happened the second Fatal Influence arrived. She says, while you've all been at each other's throats, we have ascended to the top of the division with ease, because when they see an opportunity, they take it. JC says she thinks they're looking at one right now. Flair tells Fatal Influence that if Flair tells Fatal Influence that she loves their confidence, but how about any two of them fight Flair and Bliss tonight? JC agrees, and the segment ends there pretty abruptly. Okay, so thoughts on the opening segment. All in all, I liked it. Nice to see the women's division being showcased and pushing nicely the 6-woman tag at Clash, even though it baffles me why they are continuing to plough this furrow with the crap that is Jade and the B-card army. When you have Fatal Influence right there, who have so much nuclear level heat and have come up with such impact, for me that smacks, no pun intended, of the core issue at the moment, which is at the heart of WWE writing, and that's to always, without fail, default to the repeat matches and the flogging of a dead horse with some of these stars. Now, honestly, you know I've said it numerous times, I never want to see anyone lose their job, but please explain to me how we can cut talent like Kairi Sane, and yes, Nikki Cross, Alba Fire, but we continue to keep hold of B-Fab. Now, come on. So in terms of opening segment, big thumbs up from me, and a brilliant setup for the match later between Fatal Influence and Shalexa, and that is good. We then switch it up to the depleted MFTs and Shinsuke. We get a recap of what happened last week. Will we get Tama finally turn on the MFTs? Will it be tonight? Who knows? This is one of the slowest boils I have ever seen in my life. We go to Solo backstage. Kathy asks Tala for his final thoughts before the match with Shinsuke. Solo, of course, answers on behalf of Tala because he's not allowed to talk at all. And he says that he's ready, he wants everyone to watch tonight, and he wants everyone to see what happens to Shinsuke. Royce turns up and tells Solo if he wants an issue, he's got an issue. Solo offers him to join the family again, and Royce doesn't look keen, despite Solo telling him he would need someone to watch his back on SmackDown. Well, I don't think so. Royce is a unit with massive skills. If I was Royce, I would stay away. We could rename the MFTs the Cut Club. Doesn't seem like the place to be. Tama Tonga and Shinsuke is up next. And this one kicks off. And we look to have gone back to the pre-evil Healy Shin, and we've gone back to a slightly more jolly version, which I think is his best character. Shin makes a good start, but Tala, using his strength to good effect, chucking Shin around while comms tell us he has everything for a big guy, and Shin basically is getting beat down pretty good here. This one has no shenanigans up to a point, after, though, a hope spot for Shin. We get Solo with the distraction. Tala power slams Shin and follows up with a Tala T-bomb and gets the win over Shin. Post-match, Solo comes in and makes Tala carry on with the beatdown on Shin. Just as he's about to spike him, though, Tama steps in and stops him, and we all think that this is the moment that Tama turns. But instead, he takes out Shin himself, which is a massive disappointment to me, certainly. Just as they're about to really go for it with a post-match beatdown, we've got Damian Priest out to the ring with a chair in hand to protect Shinsuke, and the MFTs retreat. Well, listen, guys, I really, really don't want to be a negative Nelly with this whole show and bleat on about stories and such, but I'm gonna. So Creative, or the big bosses, or whoever, clearly didn't fancy the MFT faction, hence why they released half of it. And instead of following through with the Tama turning angle tonight, they have chosen to basically have him repledge to Solo, which makes absolutely no sense. The pop from the crowd when he stopped the spike was ginormous. I mean, huge. Now, could this have been one of those times when WWE test out a new concept to see what kind of reaction it gets before pulling the trigger properly? If so, the message tonight was loud and clear: just get it done. Otherwise, what's the point? What are we doing? I think if Tama went solo, no pun intended, he could get almost a Fatu style bump, and I'm here for that. In terms of the match, well, predictable, I guess. What's the deal with Shinsuke? What's the plan for him? I fear there is none. Unless we turn Tama Tonga and get a Shinsuke Tama team. Now that I am here for. Yes, please, WWE. Back to comms, who continue to push Clash in Italy, and this time we're talking about the Reigns Fatu match. And now that we're on a tribal combat level. Backstage, we go to Cody, who's with Nick. Nick tells him that Gunther isn't here yet, so the contract is unsigned. Nick says the match is set and he'll make sure he gets it signed. We then get Sammy entering, who tells Cody he knows what it takes to beat Gunther, and if he needs help, all he needs to do is ask. Cody says thanks, but no thanks. Sammy then says to Nick, he says, what's he doing tonight? Nick tells Sammy he doesn't have a spot for him on tonight's show. Sammy says that is he not one of Nick's top talents? And how can he get a couple of minutes to go out and address his Ride or Die fans? By the way, none of these Ride or Die fans have actually been seen anywhere yet. They're like the Loch Ness Monster or the Yeti. He says, what did he do so wrong? He says he's sure if Cody asks, he would get the time, and goes on a little rant about Cody being a golden boy and blah, blah, blah. And of course, Cody reappears behind him and says he'll take on Sammy for a fight later on tonight. Sammy's not keen, but the crowd are well up for that, and I expect we'll see Cody half-kill Sammy and then probably get a Gunther appearance. Next up, we have Tiffy and her Open US Championship, so let's see who she will face. Can't tell you how pleased I am that we finally have a women's US title Open Challenge. First, though, we go to a recap of the MFT Shinsuke match earlier, and then backstage we go where the MFTs are in the locker room. Tama tells Solo everyone thinks they're weak. He tells Solo he has to handle Priest on his own in order to show everyone that the family aren't weak. Solo agrees and goes off to sort that out with Nick. So that's only vaguely interesting, I guess. We've had this. Solo's got to do it by himself so many times. And do you know what? Guys? He never does it by himself. So I don't hold out a lot of hope. Anyway, we return to the US Open Challenge to find out who Tiffy's facing. And talking of disappointment, it's the Irresistible Forces. Nia says tomorrow night they're going to end the nostalgia tour, but tonight, after Lash beat Tiffy, they're going to make it a golden weekend. This one kicks off. Obviously, I am hoping and praying for a Tiffy retention so the Open Challenge can continue. And we've got Tiffy starting well, but Lash making her power game pay in the early goings. We've got Chelsea out at ringside in Tiffy's corner, which I am 100% here for. We get Chelsea at ringside taking out Nia, which is beautiful. And off that distraction, Tiffy nicks a roll-up win. And we have this weird couple again, which I am completely here for. Now, obviously I haven't been here in a couple of weeks, and I've had some sketchy internet, so I haven't probably been watching the product as closely as I should as a host of a show like this. It won't surprise you to know that I've got some thoughts on what we saw a few weeks ago, where we had Nia injuring Paige, busting her open on the top of her head. Shocking and surprising, I know. Once again, Nia injures someone. The ultimate Nepo baby, honestly. Are we just going to keep her on the books till she ends someone's career or worse? Don't get it twisted. Lash Legend is brilliant and a great talent. Why, oh why, have WWE saddled her with Nia? It is totally killing any hope Lash has of getting over. When they came out to answer the challenge, there was literally nothing, nada, in the arena. No cheers, no boos, just crickets. It ain't working, WWE. Let Lash be free and send Nia to NXT, or actually maybe just the Performance Center, because she's shit and she's dangerous. And whatever you do, we're never ever going to get on board. We are never ever going to like Nia. There is good news here, and that is that Tiffy won, so hopefully the Open Challenge continues, and we have a very cool, oddball partnership developing with her and Chelsea. Who knows where that could go. We have a backstage bit with Miz and Kit asking what they think is in Danhausen's lab. Miz insists he isn't cursed. Fraxium says it looks like they are. Kit calls them toxic, and that ends there. Thought we might be getting a set up for a match or something, but it doesn't seem so yet. Next out, we've got Trick, and the crowd loses their minds, singing his song and whipping that Trick, etc. He's still got little Yachty with him, and seriously, does he have nothing of his own to do? I believe he's a rapper. Surely there's some rapping that needs to be done. Trick says that he thinks the people love some Trick and Yachty. Yachty says, especially after what you did to Miz last week. Trick says, especially as a future Hall of Famer. Thankfully, the love fest is stopped in its tracks by Mello, who makes his way to the ring. He says they both knew this day was going to come, so here he is asking him to do the right thing. Mello says, you screwed me, and if it wasn't for you, I would still be US champ. He says he isn't trying to disrespect him, he has come in, and he has took over in record time. He says he isn't trying to disrespect him. He says he's always believed in him, but he says there's a huge difference between carrying a title and being a champion. He says he won the people over with his effort and hard work, which, to be honest, is completely true. I went from despising Mello to absolutely loving Mello through the Open Challenge. So it just shows that it works. And he asked him again for a title match. Yachty says that Trick's schedule is way too tight. Mello says if he can find time between his nail and hair appointments, he could defend his title tonight. Trick says that he doesn't play with leftovers, but seeing as the people want to see it, he says, we've got the space and opportunity, let's do it. He says he will fight him. It's not going to be a title match as the Open Challenge on the men's side is over. No doubt this will be a good match. These two have got oodles and oodles of history, and it kicks off. Trick in charge, little Yachty lingering at ringside with his bejazzled kendo stick. For some reason, Ricky Saints makes an appearance, looking to help Mello by the looks of things, but then maybe not. Mello had it won 100%, got 10 count roughly, but the ref was distracted by nonsense on ringside, and Trick hits his trick shot and gets the victory over Mello. This was a good match. I'm not completely sure why we're getting Ricky Saints involved. Maybe that one's a story in progress. It certainly seems to be something more, so I guess watch this space. Personally, I'm not yet invested in any way into Ricky Saints. I don't know him or his story, but he certainly looks the part. We go backstage and we've still got Sammy chuntering onto himself and abusing some water bottles. He bumps into a catatonic Johnny Gargano and starts offloading to him about Cody. He used to be his friend, saying he's always been there for him. Johnny obviously not responding. Sammy says that he's the last real good guy left. He says to Johnny to never let anyone change who he is. So, do we know what we're doing with Johnny? Do we have any idea? One day, is he just launching back into life, or is that now his role? All I can say is, what a waste. Kathy has Ricky Saints backstage, and he starts to say Mello needs to learn when he gets smashed in the face by Mello, which is irony at its best. He tells him to keep his nose out of his business, so it certainly looks like that's about to carry on, and that's fine by me. I don't mind at all. A bit of new extra story. We get to know Ricky Saints a little bit more for those of us that don't follow NXT super closely. Next out, we've got the tag match, and I'd assumed it was going to be Flair and Bliss, but actually turns out that it's Flair and Rhea versus two members of Fatal Influence. That's weird. She's come out with Bliss, but Bliss isn't fighting tonight. I don't know if she's carrying an injury or maybe this is just storyline. Com's telling us now that this is Bliss's solution to fix things between them, so let's see how that works out. We kick off with Flair getting the piss took out of her, with Fatal Influence doing the Flair strut, but Flair mounts a comeback. So the two members of Fatal Influence is not JCJ, we've got Fallon and Lady Reed. And now we've got Rhea in the ring looking extremely strong. We get a riptide from Rhea, and then Flair blind tags Rhea, not for the first time in this match, for a natural selection, and then we get Flair and Rhea with the win. But post-match we get Jade and her B-card army back in to pick the bones and take out Flair, Bliss and Rhea as Fatal Influence get involved too. We've got Jade in the ring with Rhea. Jade beats her down. Again, not for the first time tonight, the crowd dying absolute death as she hits Jaded and literally no one cares. The match itself was a good one. The Legends doing what Legends do, which is an excellent job of getting over the new talent who themselves are doing a brilliant job, as I said, Nuclear Heat, and I am absolutely loving this call-up. The ending, however, with the B-card army and Jade took the shine off somewhat, and as I said, seemed to totally kill the crowd. If creative are actually watching the show, and at times I wonder if they do, that surely tells them everything they need to know about what's hot and what is going down like a bag of cold sick. Let's hope they pay attention. Nobody cares about Jade and her B-card army. She can strut and she can posture with them muscles and that body as much as she wants. It ain't working. We don't like her. get rid of her. We get Cody backstage. He's with Kathy. She asks him how tonight's match differs from his title match with Gunther. He says that he doesn't really recognise Sammy at the moment. He says his attitude is too much. He says, though, but he has been there, but he needs to be accountable. He says as far as Gunther is concerned, he can be at ringside or even commentary. He doesn't care. I think the message there is Cody is in a very bad mood. He's going to beat the holy heck into Sammy tonight, and I'm guessing that Cody, like me, is expecting to see Gunther at ringside. We switch now to Roman and Fatu, and we get a recap on what happened between them so far. It culminates in the fact that we're getting a tribal combat match at Clash in Italy to determine the real tribal chief, and then that's going to be a whole hoo-ha about who acknowledges who, although that was meant to happen after Backlash and didn't. So I'm wondering if we're probably going to get Fatu win, some shenanigans or something, and we finish this card off at SummerSlam, and hopefully that culminates in Fatu taking the title off of Roman once and for all. But that's wishful thinking and future booking me. After that, we go to Jade and her B-Card Army backstage, and Kathy Kelly, who's working her tail off tonight, asks them what they were hoping to prove with that attack. Meechin says that wasn't a message, that was the truth. She says there are all these women lying to themselves, trying to prove who are the best when the best is right here. She says they are the dominant team. Jade says everyone is talking too much. She says the only thing that matters in the company is her, and she says that she's going to get her title back at Clash in Italy. Well, yawn. I don't think I've got anything constructive to say other than what I've already said earlier about these clowns, so let's just move on and just hope once again that the message gets through to creative that this just is not happening. Next out, we got Damien versus Solo, who is alleged going to be actually Solo tonight to show everyone how strong the family is. But as this one kicks off, surprise, surprise, Solo doesn't turn out to be alone, as he has his MFTs, or the Cut Gang, with him. Priest doing really good and seems to be harking back to his old self, and we see what Damien Priest is really capable of, remembering his title run and etc. But the MFTs with the shenanigans leave Solo with a really close print over Priest, but he kicks out of the cover and we go on. In the end, though, Priest does get caught with a Samoan spike, but only off the shenanigans, and takes the loss. This was in no way clean, as there was plenty of shenanigans, about 7 or 8 times even. Comms mentioned it, so it must have been bad, from the MFT, so proving nothing really, apart from, as we know, Solo just can't get the job done by himself. We get Royce Keys out as the post-match beatdown starts, but it seems Keys has the brain to decline being part of the Cut Gang. As it ends up, Keys goes to help Damien get up, and whether on purpose or not, Damien's not sure who it is, so goes to grab him round the throat to sort of line him up for a choke slam, but lets him go and doesn't do anything. So that's kind of just cementing that we're not quite sure where Royce Keys is going to land here yet, and that's fine by me. Last up tonight, we've got Sammy versus Cody, but before that, we get Priest and Royce backstage. They've got a little bit of handbags, and Priest tells Royce that he doesn't trust him. Royce says that Truth called him to make sure he had his back tonight. Priest said he doesn't care, and I find this very interesting. Priest certainly looked good in that match tonight, and I am 1,000,000% here for a Damien Priest revival. Are we going to end up at some point with 3-on-3 tag match? Truth, Damien and Royce versus the remaining MFTs or Cut Gang? Potentially, I think, maybe. Let's see. That seems to be where we're headed. Again, though, that's a very similar story to what we've got going on tomorrow night with the girls. with the Rhea and Flair not trusting each other. I think that's being replayed in the men's picture. Obviously, Damien and Royce aren't going to trust each other, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This is just what I'm thinking. So back to Cody versus Sami, and we all know this will be a good match. Sami starts off by offering a handshake to Cody. Cody really just wants to get into it, and the crowd are very firmly not behind Sami here. There are lots and lots of boos. And as the match progresses, Cody very nearly gets the win with a super cutter, but not quite. Sami not doing a bad job accounting for himself, which is absolutely no surprise. Sami is an excellent talent, but for some reason it seemed to start off organically, and now he's obviously being lent into by storyline. He just seems to have lost his shine, and people have naturally turned on him. Whether that's wishful thinking that we're going to get a KO return, or what, I don't know, but this organic turn of Sami certainly does seem to be happening. As predicted, we get Gunther out to attack Cody from behind. Sami tries to take advantage of this, but knocks Gunther off the ring apron instead. And this gives Cody a chance to hit Crossroads, giving Cody the win. We get afters from Gunther, and we get Sami in the ring with a typical conflict. You can see it written all over his face, and eventually Sami refusing to help Cody, watching while Gunther has Cody in the sleeper hold to absolutely a cacophony of massive, huge boos. It looks like the descent of Sami to heel is complete. Gunther stands tall with the titles as we go off air again to massive boos. I feel like if I did a search of what I've written here, the word boo would probably come up a lot, and that is pretty much the vibe of this week's show. What I thought of this week's show is probably quite clear. There were very few, if any, high points in my opinion. The sooner we get to a 2-hour show, the better. The saving grace for me is that we now embark on a European tour, meaning much better broadcast times for us here in the UK, meaning that this, I'm going to be honest, substandard, crappy wrestling show takes up less of my weekend. It's just the truth bomb, guys. This is how I feel at the moment. I feel like we came out of Mania. SmackDown was really strong for a couple of weeks, and then we've just gone down and down and down and down. For me personally, and again, this is all my opinion, I don't think that across the whole of the WWE there's any clear guidance, storyline, whatever. I'm sure we're all going to be made to feel like absolute fools when the next series of Unreal comes out, and they're like, "Oh, you thought that Brock Lesnar had retired? Well, psych, he hadn't." You know. Ugh. Anyway, look, I'm going to stop because I have been a negative Nelly this week. I'll try and turn it around for next week. That just about does it for this week's show. For those of you in the UK, remember your sunscreen this weekend. Apparently we're getting 32, 34 degrees over the bank holiday. For those of you in the rest of the world, I hope you're all safe and happy. Thanks again for having me in your ears once again. And remember, until next time, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.